Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Ritter Hall of Fame, Coach Jerry Zykan.
Yeah, Jerry.
I'm wondering if there's a message in me following the elder care guy. I have a lot of people to thank, and it's going to take me a few minutes. And so I timed the other folks, and so I may need to borrow a minute or two from the other folks. First, I'd like to introduce my wife, Nancy, and my daughter, Julie, and her husband, Ethan, and my son, David, and his wife, Ricky. Like I said, I have a lot of people to thank. I first want to thank the people who nominated me, Jerry Schneider and Larry Cunningham. And I also want to thank the people who wrote letters of recommendation for me, Warner Baxter, Rich Brower, Frank Cusimano, Greg Ransom. I just really appreciate you guys doing it. And also Don Thompson. And Don is really a special friend. First of all, he introduced Nancy and I back in 1975, so that's pretty special. But also, when I first became a science teacher, I had no idea what I was doing. And I think now they pay a mentor, if I'm right, don't they? They pay a mentor for a new teacher? Don could not have been paid enough for the way he mentored me. Believe me, it was amazing. It's interesting about all the members of the Hall of Fame. There's a tremendous diversity between the talents and achievements of the people. We all have one thing in common, and that is that the teachers and the administrators and the staff in this district really laid a tremendous foundation for us to achieve whatever we achieved. And people went all kinds of different directions, but it all comes back to the foundation that was laid by the teachers in the school district, and I'll never be able to thank them enough. There were three teachers that were especially special to me. My 7th grade English teacher, Guy Buchanan, who happened to be a small college All-American in basketball. And then the two boxermen, Larry Boxerman and Bert Boxerman. They were tough, but boy, they were demanding, and they really drew a lot out of you. And just made you work and made you achieve, and that was really important. And then 2 coaches. Charlie Platypodis was my high school basketball coach, and he taught me a lot about how to play the game, but I also knew early on that I wanted to be a coach, and he taught me how to be a coach as well. He taught me the importance of a detailed practice plan every day, and also taught me the importance of scouting opponents, so that you could write a detailed scouting report for your team to help prepare them to win. And then the other coach was Coach Lee Ingert, and anybody who was involved in athletics around there in the 50s, 60s, or even up to the mid-70s had to be impacted by Coach Ingert. He was such an inspiration, and the guy is still pouring value. He called me last Sunday to congratulate me and remind me how important our wives were to us as we coached. And he's 90 plus years old now, and he's still impacting his former players and former students. The person that probably had the greatest impact on my career was Dr. George Chapman. He hired me for my first teaching job in 1974, and after just 2 years of being a freshman coach, he hired me to be the varsity coach. And at the time, I didn't really realize it, but as I've looked back, he really took pretty much a gamble at that, because there weren't many people as a head coach of a 4A high school, and back in those days, the largest class was 4A. There weren't very many people being hired to be a coach, a head coach, after just 2 years of experience. As a matter of fact, when I was hired, I think I'm not sure, I was the youngest 4A high school basketball coach in the state of Missouri. Now, it turned out okay, but you know, he didn't know that was going to happen. So he was really taking a bit of a chance. The next group I want to highlight, and several of those guys are here, and I'd like for them to stand in there, is the members of that 77 team. They really catapulted my career really as far as coaching. And not only because we were successful that year, but you know, anytime when you're a rookie, you don't have a whole lot to lean on. But when you have success like that team had, they kind of laid the groundwork for future teams to come along. And so it was really important. So if you guys that were on that 77 team, would you stand please and let these folks recognize you? I was going to run through their accomplishments, but they did that on the intro, so I won't take time to do that. I also want to thank Tom Bartow, who was the head coach at UMSL back in 1980 when he hired me to be his assistant. And then he left after a couple of years and went into business, and Richmond Festival took over, and I continued to be on his staff for 3 more years. And then I had a chance to go to St. Louis U with Rich Grauer, and that was really an exciting time because that was the time when St. Louis University started to turn around. And second year I was down there, we won 25 games, and I got a bid to the NIT, which nowadays, you know, people aren't excited about the NIT, but back then, St. Louis U had not been in the tournament, or any tournament, postseason tournament for quite a few years, and so the city was pretty excited about that. And then I just want to thank all my students. You know, I think back about the teachers that I had and how much they impacted me. And I always thought that if I could impact my students even a fraction of how much the teachers impacted me, that I would be successful. So I'm thankful for my students and for all the other guys that played basketball for me. It was just a wonderful experience. And then finally, you know, I want to thank God for blessing me as He has. Amen. You know, Don kind of mentioned a little bit in his life too, but God has really blessed me. But to be honest with you, this honor tonight is very high on the list of the blessings that I've received. And so I want to thank you all for that. I want to thank the committee for that. There are plenty of people who could have this honor above me, but there's nobody that appreciates it anymore, and I really mean that. So thank you all for being here.